Mike, I was watching Penn State. They jump out of that 7-0 lead. Adam Brennan, I'm like, go, 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 touchdown. And then the next drive, Robinson breaks away and almost scores. And I thought they should have been up 14-0, and the kick misses the kick, and the game was driving me crazy. What impressed you the most about the win against Wisconsin, how they played and how it all went?
Well,
were you surprised how well they played?
Absolutely. I think I was a little bit less surprised than many of my colleagues who predicted this to be a complete blowout.
24 points was the spread.
Well, the Vegas line was 24 points, and God knows they know what they're doing. They're heavily invested. But I mean, a lot of my colleagues on the beat were picking 45-10 and 45-7 and that kind of thing. And I actually wrote something accompanying my prediction saying I did not think it was as bad a matchup for Penn State as it was being perceived to be, as it was being portrayed. I thought they could throw the ball, and I didn't think Wisconsin was particularly well suited offensively. I thought the teams that caused Penn State trouble offensively for Penn State's defense were teams that spread them out, beat them sideline to sideline. So obviously Ohio State was the best example of that. But anyway, the way Penn State was able to pass the ball, whether I think part of it was game plan, I think part of it was good games by the receivers, and the biggest single part of it was Christian Hackenberg, the freshman quarterback, had what I considered to be a breakthrough game, and I just talked to his high school coach 5 minutes ago, and he said he thought the same thing. He thought, okay, now he watched that game and thought to himself, okay, now he's figured it out. Now he is ready to be what I always thought he would be.
I think having no school, this was there on their Thanksgiving break, probably really helped him. He didn't have school and all the other elements. He could just concentrate on football.
Sure. Yeah.
He's been in a whirlwind since
life. They have lives.
Right. Since August, he's been in a whirlwind. I mean, he didn't get to come in early in January, and he came in quickly. This has been. Yeah. I didn't think there was a lot of great progress from week 1 against Syracuse to now, but boy, you really saw it. And I thought the play calling was set him up well. That rollout play they ran for him, where he took advantage when his open field. He ran the ball sometimes, which early in the year he would settle for throwing, and I'm going, run it, that was open.
A lot of little details.
Learning.
That's right.
They seem to, the Penn State coaching staff, seem to outcoach Wisconsin. Wisconsin was late getting defensive players on the field. Matchup-wise, schematically, what did you see when you're watching there at the field?
Yeah, no question about it. I thought there were times when they caught them in, okay, we have maximum protection here, and we also have man coverage. Somebody trying to cover Geno Lewis who can run. Somebody who can run straight down the field. Somebody who's trying to cover man-to-man against Allen Robinson, who is a great player, or any of the tight ends. And Hackenberg didn't come close to sacking him, really. He had plenty of time to stand back there and let that develop, and they were able to get those chunk plays that Bill O'Brien talks about all the time. They had more big plays against Wisconsin's defense than Wisconsin had allowed the entire season before Saturday. Amazing.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah.
I thought the offensive line blocked and passed and blocked very well. If it wasn't for the whatever you call it, encroachment, offsides, whatever, Donovan, number 76, felt bad for him after a while.
4 times, and it seemed like 40 times.
Yeah, it was like if he'd been a horse, they would have shot him. Come on, it was bad. 7-5 record looks a whole lot better than 6-6, and the way they played really, I think, gives Penn State fans optimism for what the future holds.
Oh, yeah, the attitude. I think the attitude that everybody is going to take into going forward, based on this game as opposed to based on the Nebraska game, is huge. And maybe because of that, you have to temper it a little bit. It's only one game, and maybe they just caught maybe Bill O'Brien just saw some things on film that allowed them to really fire their artillery.
I think you're right. He did see some things, but I also think it must say something about him and his coaching staff, how they can get these guys back up again.
No doubt.
Because I had jokingly said to you, they win one, they lose one, this is the chance to win one again. And they did, but at the end of the year, you could have just packed it in, and instead these guys came out and I thought dominated Wisconsin in a lot of ways.
It felt like they were playing for a winning record the previous week. That's how it was portrayed to everybody. That was senior day. That was their chance to get a winning season. And I think the common perception was there's no way they're going to have an emotional edge after that loss to Nebraska, going out to Wisconsin, and they did. And they had a lot of fire. I don't know if they showed this on television, but Wisconsin does the famous jump around thing at the end of the third quarter, and they launched into that. The whole press box is shaking from the jump, from everybody in the stadium is jumping around, and the Penn State kids are jumping around. Every one of them. They were all in a huddle, around the. They all just started jumping around. Not all the Wisconsin kids were doing it, but all the Penn State kids were doing it. Hey, they showed a lot of fire. Got to give them credit.
It looked like they went to war that day. It was good. Helps with recruiting when you win like this, and it also helps in recruiting when you keep winning postseason awards. Christian Hackenberg gets honorable mention quarterback play for the conference.
Yep.
Allen Robinson gets wide receiver of the year in the conference. What I say about Hackenberg is that's 2 years in a row that they've had the honorable mention quarterback. Last year, Matt McGloin, and he has a chance. That's the only reason why you're interviewing his high school coach to be the freshman of the year, which would give him 2 in a row there, because Deion Barnes did that last year, right?
Yeah, that's right. They would have
it helps with recruiting too. What does that say about Penn State when you have back-to-back quarterbacks? I mean, getting that as a award. There's other good quarterbacks in this conference.
One of whom was a fifth-year senior, and the other of whom was a true freshman who didn't even have spring practice.
Yeah.
And having I'm almost certain that Hackenberg is going to be freshman of the year. That's almost automatic. It's going to be announced.
He had five.
He had five Freshman of the Week awards.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's impressive too. In this era, given the sanctions and everything, that they had the conference Freshman of the Year 2 years in a row, pretty strong.
What impressed you the most about this season?
I think the potential of Christian Hackenberg and certain individuals in their program. I mean the development of you think of a guy like C.J. Alanian, who really emerged as an excellent player, and at the end of the year, Brandon Bell, the linebacker, who seems to have enormous potential. They do have a lot of young guys who show a lot of potential, and you got to understand that this season is kind of a bridge to the future, and in that sense. They got to get more athletes around. There's no question. They got to have more speed, more athletes. But you've got to be the combination of O'Brien and Hackenberg. I think is a pretty good thing to build around when you consider, especially that Hackenberg is going to be here for 3 more years. You
probably have to consider that Allen Robinson won't be here one more year. He has 1 more year of eligibility, but 97 catches this year, off of 70 last year. There's not much more of this guy. And he only played the second half against Syracuse. Right. If he plays the first half, he's got more than 100 catches. Yep. You have to think he's proven all he has to prove on this level. What's it going to be like having him not here? Do they have the replacements in store for wide receiver? I think Geno Lewis is probably going to be the number 1 wideout next year. He really had to improve as a route runner, but he has the speed and he has the big play capability, which we saw on Saturday. Right. He's not going to be Allen Robinson, but he's going to be the number 1 guy. They have a couple of freshmen coming in this class of 2014, one of whom is a very highly regarded kid from Delaware. I expect that at least one of those 2 is going to play right away. And so it's going to have to be more of a group effort, moving the ball around, and I think the tight ends are going to be very prominently featured the way they were last year. So it'll be a group effort. It'll be like a closer by committee kind of thing instead of Allen Robinson. I think it's Goodwin's the wide receiver from Delaware, and there's a tight end from New Jersey that looks pretty good as well. They beat Ohio State out for. Yep. And Adam Bredeman from Cedar Cliff looked really good here at the end of the season. Really came on, yep. Yeah. Most disappointing factor on the season? I think that we had – I thought that there were individuals on their defense that were going to be much better than they were. Deion Barnes would be Exhibit A. Yeah, freshman of the year last year. And I think even a guy like Adrian Amos, who we went into this season thinking, you forget this, we thought he was one of the 2 or 3 best players on their entire football team. He was okay. They had guys, especially in the back end of the defense, they had a lot of guys that, Malcolm Willis, that didn't get better, didn't make a lot of progress. So the future looks pretty good, though? I think it looks pretty good, all things considered. The magic 3 words, which we know what those things are.